Hey everybody, Stinger here. I want to invite you to a pretty cool podcast.
Watch this film. It's quite nice. Have a good time. You'll be very evil. And you'll have that Danhausen.
Hey, this is Big Sexy Kevin Nash.
Yes, it is I, Big E, but more importantly, it is you.
And you might remember me from such YouTube greats as Being the Elite and Chris Daniels Almost Dies.
And if you're looking for the very best wrestling content, you better come to Good Mic Work Commentary.
And I'm just going to tell you now, as a role model, you got to tune into this because if you also want to be a role model, you got to learn from the best.
We have a rapport, and we have been so close over so many years. This is not a cameo or a paid endorsement in any regard. This is a message of friendship.
Man, we met 20 years ago, 21 years ago now. Time is flying, isn't it?
I want to wish you all the best in your YouTube channel, and hopefully I can maybe make a special guest appearance on there sometime.
And I used to say, hey, Greg Morgan, and he used to say, please call me Greg, and I wouldn't do it.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Awesome YouTube channel. Now, if you've seen these videos before, you know what I'm talking about.
We would do verbal chain wrestling. You know, we'd be off in the yard, the schoolyard at recess.
And he's also a 40-year-old wrestling fan. That's a long damn time.
And we'd just be staring at each other, and he'd say, hammerlock. And I'd say, all right, I've reversed the hammerlock into a hammerlock of my own, then I put you in a headlock. And, you know, that would go on for hours.
He's not going to fill your head with bullshit. He's going to tell you real deal, what's up, and that's that.
Raw, SmackDown, NXT. This guy covers it all, my friends. I want you to go to his page, Good Mic Work on YouTube.
Check out Good Mic Work Commentaries on YouTube.
But we would have fun. We would run around. There would be a wooden hoop we would hit with a stick, and it would go down a hill.
I'm about to go and watch a few videos myself.
It's a very practical apparatus.
We're really lacking in the world right now with some people that have a freaking brain cells.
And now look at him. He has more YouTube views and subscribers than I do, and I'm fine with it because I played such an integral role in his upbringing.
Don't you dare be sour.
We always talked about wrestling. He was a big Lou Thez guy, and of course I had an affectation for the Hackenschmidts.
Clap for Good Mic Work Commentaries.
This is RJ City, a wrestling rock on tour.
And feel the
Listen to the podcast, subscribe.
You are watching Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Good Mic Work Commentaries.
Just want to encourage all you guys to check out Good Mic Work Commentaries.
And if you don't, we're going to have a problem.
Do it!
Do it.
Do it now!
Thanks a lot for the encomium and the nice words about my father's Hall of Fame induction.
Hope our paths cross again sometime down the road. Would love to shake your hand again, and good luck on this podcast.
And you don't just watch it one time. You can rewatch every single one of them.
And now, Good Mic Work Commentaries and Greg Morgan presents the Winged Eagle Podcast.
Happy Saturday. We are inching closer and closer to WrestleMania. Welcome to your Winged Eagle Podcast for March 18th, 2023. Good mic work. Greg Morgan back at you. Microphone's over here today. Thought I'd give that a shot since we got a new setup recently. So hope you guys are having a great day, great weekend so far. And man, have we got a lot to talk about today. Today should be a loaded podcast. Sorry, I'm up here 30 minutes earlier than normal, but I have a jam-packed busy day today. And my only way to squeeze this podcast in and enough time to give me like 2 full hours to talk about stuff is to come up a little bit earlier today. So that's what we're here to do. And it's a loaded one. Now, we're going to primarily be focusing a lot on WrestleMania. We're going to have a lot of WrestleMania news, some new matches announced, and some new match placement announced. Fans are shitting their pants over the report that Rhea Ripley and Charlotte is likely going to be main eventing night one. I'm going to tell you why that is not the end of the world later on. Just stay tuned. We're going to talk about the Bellas leaving WWE. We're going to talk about Great Muta being inducted to the Hall of Fame, possibly Stacy Keibler being the next one to go in. Some reports that WWE might be splitting up the championship belts before SummerSlam, which is really interesting. So we will see if, I'm sorry, I thought I had a problem there. We don't. That's just Luke McAllister chiming in with $10. I'll get to you, dude. Thank you for that. But we do have reports of WWE maybe separating out these titles again, which is another thing that I'm kind of in favor for. We'll talk about that. And we will also talk about a lot of what we saw on TV this week. Dynamite, super interesting. AEW setting up a potential 4 Pillars match at Double or Nothing, which is going to be sweet. And a lot of Hangman and Elite. Cliffhanger, a really nice one to end the show. Really good night of wrestling. And next week looks like it's going to be a pretty good Dynamite as well. Of course, last night on SmackDown, we had the joyous, tearful, emotional, heartfelt reunion of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. I thought they would stretch this one more week, maybe even 2, give us that big hug on the go home show or something like that. But we got it last night, and it was so unbelievably perfectly executed and such a well done moment. It brought tears to my eyes. So the fans that really think that the tag title match should main event night 1 of WrestleMania, hey, you're not wrong. That's an incredible story that has been so fun to watch, and it's been an incredible ride. I just don't believe it's the only option, and I don't believe this match is now ruined if it's not going to main event night 1. We're going to talk about lots of other possibilities of where this match could be placed that will make it equally as good for everybody involved. There's not one way and one way only to do things, despite what many fans might think. And we're going to talk about all those situations later. But last night on SmackDown was great to see those two come together. We've got the IC title match now set for WrestleMania as well. More Dominic and Rey Mysterio shit last night too, which I can't wait to give my thoughts on that and what I think might happen at the Hall of Fame. We'll run through the entire WrestleMania card as well. And we'll even circle back and talk a little bit about this past week's Raw, because we had the incredible segment between Brock Lesnar and Omos, and Edge versus Balor is now official. Hell in the Cell at WrestleMania. So we're going to kind of talk a lot about everything today. Just a nice little chilled, laid-back discussion. Pat McAfee stuff, Jay White stuff will be sewn into all of these topics as well. And anything you guys might want to talk about in the chat, we'll get into today as well. So hopefully you guys are having a good one. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to give you guys some channel information, some videos coming up this week, and some WrestleMania stuff, and some shout-outs. Then we will start getting into the wrestling news, and I definitely want to open up with that Rhea Ripley and Charlotte topic, because that's a juicy one. Let me just do a quick little look here. For being here, I'm going to give you guys some channel. All right, I can see and hear myself. Right on. We should be good there. I'm going to cruise to the chat as well, and I kind of need to have it closer to me there since the mic is over here and I'm looking this way. I do want to say hi to all the channel members first. First one I want to say hello to is Divine Ricks. Good to see you, my friend. Hey, Greg. Lately, I've been going back and watching a lot of WWE back in 2006, and I couldn't help but appreciate how great Edge and Lita were. What were your thoughts on Lita and Edge run in 05 and 06? I thought it was fantastic. I loved the two of them together. They were a great pairing. I don't have time today to dissect that entire angle and the pairing between those two, but they were perfect together, and it worked so well because of the heat they had with the Matt Hardy affair and all of that. But I love the two of them as a pair. They were extremely sexy. That's for sure. See, I'm almost choking over how sexy they were. Red Raven Rucker, good to see you as well. S. Tatanani's in the house. So is the Juliet. We have Isaac. We have How Wheezy. Our boy is all elite. How Wheezy was featured in that acclaimed video package or video that was, I don't know if it was presented as kind of like a thank you to the fans or whatever that was on Dynamite. But How Wheezy was on there because he met those guys at a convention not long ago, and a lot of the footage from that rap was featured there, and our boy was on Dynamite. We have got an AEW superstar in the chat. How cool is that? Chaz Medeiros, also good to see you. JJ Leg in the house, and Luke McAllister. There's that super chat that I mentioned earlier. Thank you so much for that. Hey, Greg, what's happening after that awesome SmackDown? I sincerely hope that Cody, Sami, and Owens take down the Bloodline. Some angles just need the happy ending. Hopefully, this is one of them. I agree. And one of the things I'm going to talk about later is potentially moving that tag match. Why do all the fans have this idea that the tag title match needs to be on night one? Why? Don't you think it might be better to have all the Bloodline shit on one night? You know, if the Usos drop those tag titles, let's say on the opening of night 2, then Roman's got all the rest of the night to stew about that. He's off balanced. He's off centered. He's mad at his family for letting him down. Granted, he might be let down if they lost on night one as well, but maybe it's a little fresher in his mind if it happens just a couple of hours before his big match, and it throws him off, affects his judgment, clouds his instincts, and he goes in there and eats a couple of crossroads from Cody and loses. So something like that could work. I don't think there's one place and one place only for the tag title match, and I think that the three of them together have a very good chance of taking down the Bloodline, although I'm not ruling out swerves at all. They could do anything to us. Who knows there? Ian Dunn is in the house as well. Hopefully that got all the channel members. I also want to say hi to Jay Lambo, Mohammed, William Cullen. What's up, dude? Ben Espinoza in the house. Sex Machine is here. So is Rodrigo. Gilbert is in the house as well. We have, who else? Destiny is here. We have Martin. Good to see you. All right. That's about all I see in here for the moment, but we don't have a whole lot of time for rambling today because we got to get down to business. I want to let you guys know what to expect on the channel this week. First things first, tomorrow, WrestleMania 20. That is the watch along we're going to do tomorrow night, 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. So apparently this is a 4.5 hour watch along or pay-per-view. That's crazy. So if you're on the East Coast, be prepared to stay up past midnight if you can hang. And we'll try to get going and hit play as soon as possible once we go live tomorrow night. But I didn't put a link in the description, but there is a link already up on the channel on the watch along page. WrestleMania 20 tomorrow. And then 1 week from tomorrow is going to be a doubleheader. Earlier in the day, in the afternoon, next Sunday, we're going to watch for members only. This is just a members only watch along. We're going to watch the night after WrestleMania 14, Monday Night Raw, the night after WrestleMania 14 when Austin was presented the brand new belt. X-Pac returned to the company. Shawn was gone. The new DX formed in the cage match main event. Really, really memorable night after Mania. We're going to watch that for members only next Sunday. Then next Sunday night, I am still not 100% sure which WrestleMania we're going to watch. I put up a poll last week to see which one we would do this week between 3 WrestleManias. WrestleMania 20, WrestleMania 14, and WrestleMania 8. WrestleMania 20 won by a landslide, so we're doing that one tomorrow. So I also decided that next week we'll do whichever WrestleMania came in second place. But WrestleMania 8 and WrestleMania 14 is tied with 16%, and I can't see the total amount of votes. So I might try to dig those up to see if I can see the exact totals. And if WrestleMania 14 did in fact win, which I kind of think it might have, then we will watch the night after WrestleMania 14 for members and then WrestleMania 14 itself at night. So it'll be a big 1998 Sunday next week. But I'm also thinking about putting up one more poll just between 14 and 8 to see who wins between that, since it's already a tie. Maybe we can do the tiebreaker over on the YouTube community tab. I'll figure that out tomorrow. We'll have a poll up or something, and we'll probably discuss that in the watch along tomorrow. But next week, doubleheader. We know what we're doing for the members only, but the actual WrestleMania watch along next Sunday is still to be determined. But tomorrow is going to be a lot of fun. WrestleMania 20, lots of stuff happening on that show. The Rock's last match, for the next 8 years. Brock's last match for the next 8 years. Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero. So much surrounding that show. John Cena getting on the map, winning the U.S. title. We had a hair match. We had heel turns. We had all sorts of stuff. It's going to be fun. Join us tomorrow for WrestleMania 20, where it all begins again. Next year will be the 20th anniversary of WrestleMania 20. That is mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. So that's what's coming up next week on the channel. In terms of this coming week, don't know what I'm doing yet for Monday Night Raw. Probably not a live reaction. I definitely will not be here on Wednesday for Dynamite because I have plans that night as well. So I got to figure out some content to get to you guys. Mic drops and all that stuff. I'm sure we'll be hitting the channel as well with our reactions that are over on Bald Guy Wrestling and Patreon, which you can access for $1 a month over on the Patreon page. So I'm not quite sure what I'm doing Monday and Tuesday of next week, but you'll definitely get some content on the channel. So it's always important to subscribe. Please do that. Also, if you guys could hit that thumbs up button for me, I would appreciate it as well. Let me do some brief shout outs real quick. Let me shoot over to the Patreon page and shout out all of the subscribers and the supporters on the Patreon. account, because we have resurrected that, and I am now starting to put some match reactions that I've connected my Vimeo account to, so you guys can watch unedited, clean versions of me watching pay-per-views over on Patreon for $1 a month. If you would like to sign up, I'm putting and posting matches up there all the time, and I just put one up a couple of days ago of Randy Savage versus Ted DiBiase from WrestleMania 4, and these are really fun to make and fun to do, and they're easy, and they give you guys some content and some perks for being subscribers over there, or supporters over there, I should say. So thank you very much to Kenny Ward, Anthony Del Petra, Paul Carpenter, John J.E. Dennett, William, Brandon Allen, Ramon Coffey, Joseph Hudson, Chris Broski, Divine Ricks, Ryan, Nikita Abalakin, Chris Miner, Super Fluffy Toaster, Alan Carter, Brandon Yelverton, Nick Musser, K-Dogs, Kennel, what's up, Kevin? Ryan Y., Colin Sturgio, John Redifer, Claudio Clavedetcher, Daniel Rodriguez, Reese Jones, Josiah Blevins, John Riffle, Michael Kumo, Navid, and Blake Moran. Thank you for supporting over on Patreon. And in terms of the channel members, I would like to thank all of you as well. Motown Slim, back again. Thank you very much for joining. Also, Ramon Coffey, Ian Dunn, Leo Whalen, Big Mike ATP, Jennifer, Jamal Garcon, Mike, Chaz Medeiros, Ian Joe Dunn, Ken Webb, Titanium Titan, Mango Salsa, Josiah Blevins, Kevin Red Raven Rucker, MJ Parker, Ruben Litton, Fox Star Killer, The Juliet, Brandon Collier, Alan Carter, Randall Yates, Zach Palgett, Dre, Sean Jordan, Financial Truth Academy, Devlin Husband, Mike Tong, Longboard, Sam Piboon, Jeff McMahon, Mikey Too Cool, Luke McAllister, Tar Brehan, Zelius Ward, Casey, Bo Klavlovic, Al Ramos Pro, Zach H, Kevin H, Chris Miner, Mike Witt, Jimmy Anderson, C-Mac, Mab, Joshua Aparicio, How Weezy, Spaz Phoenix, my boy Ronnie, Nicole Lensing, Marcus the Entertainer, Nikita Abalakin, Divine Ricks, Zane G, Chris Pereira, Michael Kumo, John J.E. Dennett, Tatanani, Nick Musser, K-Dogs Kennel, Max Pokebra, Spectra, Reese Jones, Victor Cologne, Isaac, George Morris, Population 420, J.J. Leg. Thank you guys. You are the greatest. Thanks for joining. I am going to be updating the members video and the members perks very, very soon, because lots of stuff coming to the channel. WrestleMania is coming up as well, and I'm going to have a lot of footage and content posted from WrestleMania. It's going to be a blast. Speaking of WrestleMania, if you're going to be at WrestleMania in LA for WrestleMania weekend and you would like to hang out, please hit me with a DM over on social media, Twitter, Instagram, or even Facebook, although Twitter or Instagram is preferred. And let us know if you would like to hang out. We actually have a fan meetup planned for Friday night during SmackDown. Basically, as the Hall of Fame is airing, we're going to be hanging around Staples Center at a bar there called Yard House. It's about a block away from Staples Center. We're going to be gathering there around 7 p.m. on Friday night. I had a lot of people already hit me up with messages who want to come and hang out. And we'll just kind of chill out, have some beverages. No pressure. You don't have to be a drinker to come here. You can totally have a Coca-Cola and sit and hang out with us. It's bar food. It's some nice food, but there's burgers, sliders, pretzels, fries, shit like that. We'll get a big table or an area in the bar. This place does not take reservations or book out separate areas or anything like that. You just kind of have to show up there. So I'll get there a little bit early, try to get us a little area, and we will do our best, even if we have to wait to get in there and hang out. And it'll be a nice little gathering. I think we could have anywhere from 5 to 20 people joining here. I've had a lot of people show interest. So we will be doing that on Friday night, probably around 7 o'clock-ish in that time frame. Come between 7 and 8, and you should find us there for sure. And it'll be fun to sit there knowing that the Hall of Fame is going on right across the street. And maybe we can monitor it from our phones or find out what the hell's going on from people who might have been at the show and people who might be going to the show and want to stop by after. That's kind of what the point is. So we'll be doing that on Friday night. If you can't make the Friday night meetup and you're going to WrestleCon, you can see me there. I will be walking around WrestleCon both days, Saturday and Sunday. I bought Elizabeth and I the Superfan passes, so we have full access to everything. And I think we'll probably just go Saturday and Sunday before WrestleMania. We'll probably be there from around 10 to 2, I would imagine. And then we'll head out of there and head over to SoFi. So maybe even before 2 o'clock. We might get out of there at like 1 o'clock. So probably be there like 3 hours each day at WrestleCon. If you can't make the Friday meetup, and you can't make WrestleCon, and you still want to meet up or meet me, just DM me during the show, and I'll do my best to meet you at the stadium. And we'll get as many hellos and high fives in as we can. But so far, based on the feedback and the messages I've been exchanging with many of you, it sounds like a lot of you are down to meet up, and it should be fun. I am stoked for WrestleMania. It's going to be a blast. I love my seats. I love our hotel. I love WrestleCon. I love all of it. It's going to be fun. I'm ready. So that should do it for all of our pleasantries, all of our BS. It's time to get down to business. Let me double check on the super chats, make sure I don't owe anybody anything. I do. I owe Clone Force a hello. Thank you very much, my friend. Clone Force 99 dropping in $5. If no Wyatt at WrestleMania and have Reed versus Bobby and Reed goes over. My God, thank you for that, Clone Force. I completely forgot to put Bray Wyatt in my notes. Let me just put him right at the bottom. We'll get to him. I totally forgot about the Bray Wyatt stuff. That was like the biggest story of the week. And it didn't even make my notes. Let me just stick that in there. I'm going to have to kind of go by memory there. But we will be getting into Bray Wyatt later on. If there is no Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania, then have Bronson. I was like, who's Reed? Bronson Reed and Bobby, and Reed goes over. That's an interesting idea. I'm a big fan of Bronson Reed. I like him a lot. I don't know if WWE likes him enough to put him over Bobby Lashley, but I'd be into it. I got no problem with that whatsoever. Who knows what they're going to do? I really feel bad for Bobby Lashley that the only reason he was given this Bray Wyatt match is because Brock Lesnar didn't want it. And now Bray Wyatt is out for whatever reason. We don't know. There have been reports of an injury. There have been reports, or rumors, I should say, not reports, but rumors of creative issues or disagreements, or maybe Bray Wyatt's not happy. This did tie in and coincide with Vince McMahon being spotted at Gorilla at Monday Night Raw. A lot of the fans that kind of lacked that critical thought went right to that and thinking that was the reason and the reason alone that Bray Wyatt is gone. I don't think that's the case, but you can't ignore the timing of that either. So there might be something to that. But whatever's going on with Bray, we just wish him the best. If his mind and his body are okay, that's all that's really important to me. If Bray Wyatt has issues with the creative direction of his character, then I don't blame him, because it's been shit. He came back in such a great way at Extreme Rules, and we were all collectively so happy, breathing this sigh of relief that Bray Wyatt is back in a company that's actually going to take his crazy storyline seriously and actually really plan and make compelling stories for the fans. They didn't really do that. And I've been harping on this a few times. I guess we'll just open up with Bray here since I'm talking about it now. I've harped on this a few times. When Bray Wyatt came back last year, we heard those reports. Now, granted, these were just reports and rumors. Nothing was confirmed at all. But we did hear the reports that the Bray Wyatt storyline and what he's going to be doing and who he's going to be feuding with going into WrestleMania is pretty much already laid out. They already have a plan, a long-term, multi-month plan in place for him. But by the time we got to the end of the year, it didn't look like he was really going in any direction. It was a lot of the, who is this Uncle Howdy guy? And oh my God, is Bray Wyatt going to face Uncle Howdy at WrestleMania? And then boom, we're into the Mellow Yellow, go fuck yourself match at the Royal Rumble. And there's all these just boring, monotonous promos that are just very, very repetitive. And Bray Wyatt has got one of the best promo voices and deliveries in the history of the business. But when you're not saying a whole lot, what good is that? What good is that talent? And a lot of, this lore. I'm not really much of a fantasy guy anyway. So a lot of these like supernatural hocus pocus stuff, I'm not really even a very big fan of that. If you can make it good, like the Undertaker and Kane did, even with Undertaker passing that little whispering torch perhaps to Bray Wyatt a few weeks back on Raw XXX, all that was awesome because I thought it was maybe leading to Bray taking over and assuming that role. But everything they've done has fallen and felt so flat and underwhelming and disappointing. The fan in me is frustrated. The man in me is concerned for Bray Wyatt and his health and all of that. So whatever's going on with Bray Wyatt, we here on the podcast wish him well. If he's happier outside of the WWE, leaving WWE, staying with WWE, I just hope that he's in a good mental place because we have heard of some issues with Bray Wyatt in the past, and we know some of the things he's dealt with in his life. Hopefully everything is okay with him. And if he is in fact going to miss WrestleMania, it's going to be curious to see why that is. Now, there are some out there that say the match is still set for WrestleMania. We don't really know if the match is off with Bobby Lashley or not. I don't think, do we? We'll probably find that out by Monday. Because if Bray, I don't think WWE wants to sit and wait to see if Bray is going to be ready. They just need to know, are you going to do this or not? Because if not, we're going to put Lashley with somebody else. And at this point, in terms of the match, like I want Bray Wyatt to be at WrestleMania because I'm a Bray Wyatt fan. But I'm not going to be really that sad if we lost this match. I don't really know what we could get out of Wyatt and Lashley that would be that interesting to me, to be honest. And it wasn't really a match I even needed to begin with. So I don't know what to make of it, but we'll keep our eye on it. And hopefully Monday we'll get some idea. If they move Lashley into a different feud or a different storyline on Monday, then we have our answer. Bray Wyatt will not be at WrestleMania. Let me turn off this Fan. There we go. So all the best to Bray Wyatt, though, and hope that everything is okay with him personally. Speaking of WrestleMania, let me just take a big old gulp of this H2O here. I wouldn't even call this high quality. This is Kirkland. It's medium quality. So, big story came out yesterday. Actually, it's just a report, but it was enough to throw the fans into a Category 4 meltdown, Category 5 meltdown, Category 6 meltdown. My God. So, it is now being reported that the main event of night 1 of WrestleMania is going to be Charlotte defending her SmackDown Women's title against Rhea Ripley. The horror. Oh my God. You would have thought WWE announced that James Ellsworth is going to fight Phantasmo in the main event of night 1 or something. And it is just DEFCON 5 craziness, meltdown, insane anger, mad, what the fuck, bullshit. Everybody is so focused on one person and one person only, Charlotte. They cannot get past that Charlotte is in the main event. They forget everything else. They forget who Charlotte's opponent is. It's almost as if Charlotte is going to go into the main event of night 1 and wrestle herself in the ring, because that's the way fans are acting. And I never once looked at it like it was about Charlotte. This thing has felt right from the start that Charlotte was given the title to give it to Rhea Ripley. The way they have been booking Rhea Ripley since last year heavily implies that the plan is to belt this woman up at WrestleMania. Remember a few months ago when we heard early rumors of Rhea Ripley and Ronda Rousey? That's probably because Ripley has been penciled in to win the Royal Rumble the whole time. So Rousey at the time was champion. And then when we heard that went away, we heard some other rumors, maybe even Bianca and Rousey at one point or something. Rhea and Bianca, of course. But in the end, when they decided to move away from Ronda Rousey as champion, for whatever reason that was, they brought Charlotte back as a babyface, which granted is weird. She beats Ronda Rousey, and now she's the champion again. So one mistake I think WWE is making is trying to make Charlotte a babyface. Everybody fucking hates her, but she's a lot like Cena in 2014. And I've drawn comparisons to Cena's match with Brock at SummerSlam to this match with Rhea Ripley. I think that if you give us some sort of a squash, or if Rhea Ripley has some definitive win over Charlotte to where it's not necessarily a squash, but it's convincing. Because even at SummerSlam 2014, Cena got a few moves in, just not many, right? So if you have a match like that, I think it would be such a great statement win. Yes, Rhea Ripley is a heel. You usually don't have heels winning big, colossal main event moments like that, but sometimes you do, like at SummerSlam 2014. And so many of the fans in LA that night, myself included, is going to be very, very pro Ripley in that match. So to me, this whole time, Charlotte has been the last thing on my mind. She's the first thing on everybody else's mind. She's the last thing on mine. To me, it's not about Charlotte being in the main event of WrestleMania. It's about Ripley winning the title in the main event of WrestleMania from your most decorated women's star that you've ever had. But the fans can't get past that Charlotte's given this opportunity. Another WrestleMania match. They are so consumed by this anger that they forget that this is going to be a great moment for Rhea Ripley. And that's what I'm there to see this woman be smashed over in the proper way. Now, granted, this is all hinging on Charlotte losing. If Charlotte goes into the main event against Rhea Ripley on night 1 and beats her, then yeah, I'm in complete agreement with everybody that's shitting their pants right now, okay? No problem. This is every opinion that I'm saying here is based on the fact that I believe Charlotte's going to lose. If she wins, then we've got problems, admittedly. But if this is the match they're going to do, why is that so weird? You know, it's the title. It's what it feels like WWE might be trying to start this trend. They might be saying women's Royal Rumble winner, main events night 1, men's Royal Rumble winner, main events night 2. That way they can say the winner of the Royal Rumble gets to main event WrestleMania. Now, granted, I don't know when this rule started and when they made such a big deal about making it known that the winner of the Rumble is going to main event. I do think that paints them into a corner booking-wise, because before you did that, you can have that match anywhere. Shinsuke Nakamura won the title, right? And then he went in to face AJ in the mid-card. So or won the Rumble, right? And then he faced AJ for the title in the middle of the show or something like that, correct? So there's nothing wrong with that. WWE making the decision, since they have 2 nights now, to put the men and the women in the main event, I guess that makes sense because it gives the Royal Rumble the highest amount of value. So I get it, but I do worry that they might book themselves into a corner, paint themselves into a corner, booking-wise, when they run into situations like we're seeing here, where we have this great story that's been unraveling for the past year with the Bloodline, Sami Zayn, the Usos, Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns. A lot of fans thought in their head, because I don't know who said this first, but once it was said for the first time, it snowballed, and that's what everybody talked about. The first person to suggest that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn should face the Usos in the main event of night 1, this was probably originally suggested like 6 months ago. And once that was said, nobody really thought that that match could be any other place, which is another reason why I think there's so much outrage over this Charlotte and Rhea match, because fans had already had set in their head, even though there was never any confirmation on that. WWE never said anything about making this tag match the main event. It was never implied that it was going to be the main event. The fans felt like due to the size of the story involved here, that this match deserved to be in the main event. I agree. I do. If you wanted to put Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn against the Usos in the main event of night 1 of WrestleMania, Greg has no complaints. Absolutely. It's a great storyline. They're going to have a memorable match. A tag title match is going to main event WrestleMania for the first time ever. There's so many great things about that. But that doesn't mean that's the only way to do it. And if they don't do it this way, then the whole entire match is going to suck. How can you, do you hear yourselves, not you guys, but the people saying this, like, how can you make that statement that this match can only survive if it's the main event because it's the best story and it deserves the main event? Sure, all of that's true, but to act like this match can't happen unless it's in the main event is asinine. What little confidence you have in these great professionals, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Jey and Jimmy Uso. You have that little confidence in them that they can only produce a good match if they're in the main event? Why does everything have to be so black and white? Why can't there be any thought to anything? Okay, well, yeah, that match would have been great in the main event, but since it's not, where else could they put it that might be good? Here's an idea. What if it opens night 1? The horror. Opening night 1. You're going to have the hottest crowd possible. The hottest crowd of the whole weekend will be the first match of night 1. What a way to start off WrestleMania. By having Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn win the tag team titles in the first match. Crowd goes nuts, ovation of a lifetime, and then Roman's got 2 full days to stew about that and let that get under his skin. You can cut backstage to him several times during night 1 and night 2, watching him grow increasingly agitated, frustrated with the family letting him down and the cracks in the bloodline. They've already lost 4 titles. They might lose 2 more. He'll continue his abuse, continue to abuse Jey and Jimmy, who just lost their championships and could set up for a big turn or swerve in that main event where the bloodline turns their backs on Roman and he loses. Here's another idea. Why are we insisting that the tag team title match has to be on night 1? Why? Tell me. Why must it be on night 1 and nowhere else? What if it opens night 2? What if you open night 2 with the tag title match and close with Roman and Cody? Why is that unacceptable? Why? It's not unacceptable. It's perfectly fucking fine. But the problem is fans have got such a stick up their ass about Charlotte that they can't think. And it ruins the experience for them. WrestleMania is ruined now because Charlotte is going to be in the main event. Is it just me, or do those people sound like fucking children? Whining little bitches. Get over yourselves. It's not that big a deal. The Usos and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn can still have an amazing WrestleMania moment without it being the main event of night 1. It doesn't have to be that way. If it was that way, would that be nice? Of course. It would be great for all 4 of those men if they got that opportunity. But it doesn't mean their whole situation is completely blown out of the water now because they're not in that match. That's the type of shit and the opinions that I see floating around so much on about WrestleMania and online is that you have fans who have literally had the WrestleMania experience ruined. I'm going to the show. I spent a shit ton of money on these great seats and a great weekend at WrestleMania. I am not even remotely angry that Charlotte and Rhea Ripley is the main event. Because once we see where all these matches are placed, maybe we will realize that, hey, that really was the best place for the match because where they put the tag title match was even better. Fans have got this obsession with what wrestlers deserve. I seriously doubt Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Jimmy, and Jey Uso are nearly as distraught over this as the fans are. I don't think those four guys give a shit. I think they're ready to go out there and make history regardless of where their match is going to be on the show. There's a lot of WrestleMania matches like that were in the middle of the card that were just as memorable. And we have had plenty of WrestleManias where there has been a debate about which match should main event. WrestleMania 18 is probably the best example of that because Jericho and Triple H, what a letdown after Rock and Hogan. So when I say that I have no problem with Rhea and Charlotte being in the main event, it's not because I have this belief that the title should be in the main event. No, because we've seen times when it has not been. So I'm fine with that. What I'm saying is I'm fine with whatever they fucking put in the main event because I don't know the location of all of the matches yet. We don't really know where they're going to be. We might know the two main events, but if you position, there's plenty of other places where you could put that tag title match that would be just as interesting. And I think it's absurd for fans to let this ruin their experience just because they have a hate for a wrestler that is so deep and so profound that it literally clogs their brainwaves with bullshit. And I think that's a little bit silly. And I think wrestling fans need to realize that wrestling is wrestling. We're supposed to have a good time watching this. And to flip out over something so fucking dumb is embarrassing. And everybody that was flipping out had some hardcore crazy opinion about what a spotlight hog Charlotte is. Get over yourselves. My God, you're an embarrassment. You're a fucking embarrassment. Chill. Everything is going to be fine. I promise. It's going to be fine. Deep breath. Take a pill. Go see a doctor. It ain't hard. Yeah. So anyway, that's my opinions on Rhea and Charlotte main eventing night one. Greg doesn't give a shit. Let's move on. Bellas have left WWE officially. They are now the Garcia twins. Good for them. A lot of people said, hey, Greg, what do you think about the Bellas leaving WWE? And the answer is, I don't think about them leaving. Couldn't fucking care less. Now, one thing we did talk about this past week is that what will the Bellas do? Somebody said, oh, good mic work. Do you think they'll go to AEW? And I was initially kind of blew it off. And I'm like, no, I doubt it. I feel like they're not necessarily done with wrestling, but they're already WWE Hall of Famers. They like to be these influencer reality show types. They're probably going to try to keep going in that direction with their careers without any ties to the WWE and any roadblocks they might find being associated with them. So they released a video. They're now going to be called the Garcia twins instead of the Bella twins because that is the real names. I'm pretty sure they could probably still use Nicole and Brie, right? Because that's their real names too. And since they are now rebranding themselves as the Garcia twins, maybe we will see them in AEW. It's very possible. I mean, one of them is married to Bryan Danielson. And, I really came around on Nikki because, the way the two of them came in, models who try to get in the ring. We've seen that before. Usually doesn't pan out very well. But both of them were able to establish as pretty good identities for themselves and make names for themselves, despite they're in from a generation that, doesn't do a whole lot for a fan my age. But Nikki, especially, I saw vast improvements in her all the way up until the end when she lost to Ronda Rousey or whatever. I thought that was really good. And she had improved enough, maybe not to a Trish Stratus level, but improved enough to where I kind of had respect for her. So I have no issues with the Bellas at all, but my wrestling career is completely unaffected by their existence. My wrestling watching career is completely unaffected by their existence. Nothing would change with me, my view on anything, had they never showed up in the business at all. But best of luck to both of them. I've met Nikki Bella twice. She's been into my restaurant, and I met her at the airport a few years back, really early in the morning, and she was still dressed like she was ready for TV. It was 6 a.m., and she looked fantastic. Couldn't believe it. Just standing in line, getting a bagel at the airport in a beautiful orange dress with her hair and everything just done. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. You couldn't even wake me up at 6 o'clock in the morning unless I had to be in an airport. So she looked awesome. So Bellas are gone. Great Muta has been confirmed for the WWE Hall of Fame as well. That's really cool. We had a feeling he would go in since Triple H allowed Shinsuke Nakamura to go to Japan and work that match with him. Maybe, putting him in the Hall of Fame was a nice compensation there. And now he gets to get honored. He reminds me a lot of, like a Antonio Inoki induction or even a Jushin Liger because he didn't spend any time in WWE really, but WWE still going out of their way to honor him and the career that he had. And of course, he did spend time here in the States in the NWA and in WCW and in the NWO. And Muta is quite the traveled journeyman who finally wrapped up his career last month in February. And what a run. And he deserves to go in the Hall of Fame. Very, very happy for him. Also want to shout out our buddy Danhausen. Suffered a torn pec. Same injury Cody suffered, right? Got that at Revolution. So Danhausen is going to be on the shelf a little bit, but I'm sure he can still show up on Dynamite and cast spells on people. Best of luck to our boy. Also, we should talk a little bit about WWE potentially splitting up the world title and the Universal title, currently held by Roman Reigns. I think that this is a good idea. Now, this report stems from a report by WrestleVotes via Give Me Sport, and they claim, quote, "This is the final mess, and you really can call it a mess. This is the final obstacle, and the team is working to overcome that. There was never a plan when Roman Reigns won the titles a year ago. Triple H was handed this mess by SummerSlam. There's going to be 2 titles." So this implies here that when they put both belts on Roman last year, they didn't really have a plan. Then Vince left. Then Triple H had to inherit this. I think they did have a plan in place to separate the belts out if The Rock was going to show up. But since he didn't, now it's just going to be Cody and Roman for both. And there is talk about now having both shows have a champion and doing that by the time you get to SummerSlam. So if you do that, one of the big questions we've had on the podcast every time we've talked about splitting the belts is how do you do it? If you're going to separate the 2 world titles, what do you do? How do you make that happen? And I think that if the draft is coming up, that might be the best way to do it, because how can you make this happen without the champion giving away one of the belts, which kind of lessens the value of that title, you would think. Now, with Cody Rhodes, let's assume he wins the title, right? With Cody Rhodes, if he beats Roman at WrestleMania, I would assume that Cody is going to want the WWE title. That's the title with the lineage. That's the title with the legacy and the history. And that's the title attached to the title that his dad never won. That's the one that Cody should want. But even though that's understood, I still think it would be really weird if Cody was like, well, here, take this Universal. I don't want this. Who wants to fight for a title that somebody else doesn't want? So how do you do this? Do you bring Triple H out on TV? It might be the only way to do it, like a one-time only thing. You could do Adam Pearce. You could just keep it with Pearce. But maybe even Triple H coming out and saying, we need to have a champion on each show, and comes out and breaks the news to Cody, And how about this for a scenario? Cody's in the ring. This doesn't even have to be the night after WrestleMania, although it would be cool if it was. Cody's in the ring night after WrestleMania. He's got both titles. He's looking great. And he talks about the championships, and he puts over the Universal title. Roman Reigns held this blue thing for 400 days or whatever fuck it is. And longer than that. Shit, 600 days. I forgot what he's at now. He might be at 700 days. I forgot what Roman's total is even up to now for the Universal. But it's been a long time. And he talks about the title and how dominant Roman was with it and how it's been around the waist of some great men, the Brocks, the Goldbergs, and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it's all about this one. This is the title that my dad had, and it feels so good to hold this. Yes, I'm happy I'm Universal Champion, but I'm also happy that I have this title. Dad, this is for you. And he starts crying, right? Dun, it's time to play the game. Out comes Triple H right in the middle of Cody's tearful promo. In Triple H's hand, he has a black bag. Black, not a Jan Sport, just a nice little black velvety bag. You know where I'm going with this. Comes down to the ring, congratulates Cody, reiterates what he said about his dad, reiterates what he said about the Universal title, and reiterates what he said about the WWE title. And says, Cody, we've made some decisions. The board of directors has been talking, and we've decided that we want to have 2 championships again. So it is now official. In 2 weeks or whenever it is on the WWE draft, we are going to crown. I am effectively stripping you. Boo, fans will say, boo. I'm effectively stripping you of the Universal title as of today. You are no longer the Universal Champion. We are going to do a tournament or a match or whatever to crown the new champion on the draft, at Money in the Bank, at Backlash, at Crown Jewel, King and Queen of the Ring, wherever, right? He just makes that announcement. And Cody's kind of like okay with it, but like a little bit shocked. And Cody, I know that this might be a shock to you, but I think I have a way to make it better. you've talked before, years ago when you won the Intercontinental title, you brought back the old design. And I thought it would be only fitting that if we were ever to resurrect an old WWE Championship design, that you be the one to be the first guy to carry it. So I present you with, and he reaches in the black bag and he pulls out the Winged Eagle title on the wall right there. Pulls it out. Crowd goes wild. Cody, I give you the Winged Eagle title, and Cody now has that championship, and he's the WWE champion as the Winged Eagle title belt holder. Triple H now is in possession of the Universal title, which he will now hold a tournament for or have something set up to crown a new champion. That's one way you could do it. I think that would make the fans happy. That would make, at least it makes somebody like me completely forget they're separating the titles. All that would matter to me is we have the Winged Eagle title back. Like, oh, that's awesome. And then you maybe make it okay. But I feel like it's going to have to be some sort of like executive decision on TV to get this done in order to not devalue one of these championships. So that's why I think like Triple H is really a likely candidate to come out and do something about this, although they could just do it with Adam Pearce, which is fine. But I do like these reports. WrestleVotes has been pretty accurate when it comes to the behind the scenes office stuff from time to time. So, I'll at least take them at face value here and hope that this actually is the plan. And WWE does plan on having 2 world titles again. I'm fine with that, to be honest. I really am, because we've had Roman, holding both these belts hostage for so long. It'll be kind of fun and weird to get back to business, to have a couple of championships on each show. I got no issue with that. And if they do it, I'm cool with it. So that's the latest there. You guys can let me know all your opinions on that here in the chat, and I'll go and look at them here in a second. Also wanted to mention Great Muta. We talked about him earlier going into the Hall of Fame. One thing I did forget to mention, I believe I forgot to mention it, is that Stacy Keibler is also rumored to be the next one to go in. I don't think she's confirmed either, but there have been some rumors about her going in. You're going to need some women in this year's class. I was really hoping for a China solo induction. Stacy Keibler is right up there with Tori Wilson. I got no issue. I mean, she definitely deserves to be in the Hotness Hall of Fame. No doubt about that. But in terms of what Stacy brought to the company, she brought the same thing that Tori did in unbelievably beautiful professional wrestling valet. And they were fun. They were very entertaining. The pairings that they had, Stacy and Test and Tori and Tajiri, and some of the random pairings that they would have them. Stacy with the Dudleys, I think, was my favorite. She looked so good in the Dudley outfit and the glasses. I thought it was perfect for her. So Stacy had some great moments in the company. I have no problem if they want to induct her into the Hall of Fame. She was a very memorable part of the post WCW years. Even when she was there as Miss Hancock, she was turning a lot of heads, and WWE, rightfully so, brought her in the second they could get their hands on her. So if she's going into the Hall of Fame, I'm cool with that, because I think aside from Miss Elizabeth, Stacy Keibler is the most perfectly flawless, beautiful woman WWE has ever had. Kathy Kelly, though, is gaining on both of them. So if Stacy's going in, good for her. She's the best. We love Stacy. Pat McAfee spoke a little bit on his podcast the other day about his WWE status and kind of made it sound like there's no real plan for him to return in the immediate future, not coming back to the commentary booth, at least right now. And even though he is not done with his pursuit of a WWE Hall of Fame induction, he has got a baby on the way. He's got a lot of stuff going on. And it sounds like McAfee coming back into the company isn't happening in the near future, but could still down the line. That's kind of a bummer, because McAfee was great. I'm still holding out hope that he makes some sort of surprise appearance at WrestleMania. He made one at the Rumble. Coming back at WrestleMania to do something would be kind of fun. And if he ever finds his way back to a commentary booth or back in the ring in WWE, I'm all for it. I would love to see that. Still no word really on Jay White either. Not really sure where he's going to land. I think Jay White would be a great person for WWE to debut the night after WrestleMania, but also a great guy for AEW to bring in, since they have Forbidden Door coming up in June and all that stuff. So we'll keep our eye on the Jay White situation and try to get an idea of where he is finally going to land. Let me take a quick pause and go over here to the chat. I would really appreciate it if you guys could hit the thumbs up button for me, and please subscribe. Really happy with the subscribers lately. We've been pulling in a lot. Channel is moving up. Last month's Winged Eagle is 60,000 views on it or something like that for an episode last month, and we've had a lot of good numbers overall on the channel, so I appreciate that. Thanks again for all of your support. Just hook me up with some likes, and that would really make me happy. Let me cruise over here to the chat, knock out any super chats I might have, and then we will start getting into Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, and all that jazz. Let's see here. I've got Max. Good to see you, man. 7-month member now. Cody being weaved into the story is genius. Well, I do like that Cody and the bloodline stuff is kind of bleeding into each other, and it should be. I actually didn't want Cody to be too involved. Like, he had to be involved a little bit, right? Because he had some promos with Sami Zayn. He's going to be taking on Roman. Roman has got a whole entourage with him. You know, Cody is probably going to want to develop his own allies as well, and who better to develop them with than with a couple of guys who are feuding with the bloodline. So I'm cool with Cody being involved in it. I didn't, however, want Cody to be too involved in it. And I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I said, one thing I'm nervous about is WWE is going to use Cody to moderate Sami and Owens. And they did that last night, but Cody wasn't present for the reunion, which was good. So I thought they balanced it well because I did not want Cody. It's just like John Cena being involved in Mark Henry's retirement. You knew the retirement was bullshit because why the hell is John Cena there? I didn't think he had a place there if that was going to happen. So if Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn come together for a hug, I don't want Cody in the ring with them, you know, and they executed everything last night really, really well, and they balanced the Cody stuff without overdoing it. They did well. Zach, WrestleMania 14 is winning. Yeah, I think you're probably right. We're probably going to be watching that one. I lost my place. There it is. We have Off Leather Wings. Thanks for the $5. Message retracted. Not sure why, but thank you for that, my friend. Appreciate it. We have... Who's next? JJ Leg. Appreciate the $2, my friend. Nikki said they're not going to AEW. Yeah, Taya Valkyrie said she wasn't going to AEW either. But no, I'm sure they're going to say that because if they did have plans to come in and be a surprise of some kind, wouldn't you say you're not going to go? That's what Jericho does. That's what a lot of guys do. If they say they're not going somewhere, they might be going there. I don't need them in AEW. If they don't go to AEW, I'm fine. But I'm not going to take Nikki Bella's word for it. Let's just put it that way. Rodrigo, good to see you, my friend. Appreciate that $5. What if Bella Twins become dancer for Dancing with the Stars because Nikki's husband is Artem Chignik is a dancer, or Nikki could? Artem, I'm a fan. Never heard of that guy. Don't know. Well, they've already been on Dancing with the Stars, so I don't know if they would go back and do another show. If Nikki's, is that where she met her husband? Was he her dance partner on Dancing with the Stars? I don't know. I have no idea about Nikki's life. Because I don't care about her life. But I am not really sure about that, Rodrigo. If they want to make another appearance on Dancing with the Stars, I'm sure a lot of fans would be very happy about that. And at the end of the day, even though I poke my fun at Nikki and Brie, we wish them both the best. One of them's married to Bryan Danielson. I've said that before about Brie. I absolutely detest and loathe Brie mode. I think it's the dumbest fucking thing ever. But how bad can Brie Bella really be? She's married to one of the most down-to-earth, most likable human beings on the planet. She must be a pretty rad chick, you know? So best of luck to the Bellas. We love you. Yeah, Denny, I don't know if they're still doing the draft, Denny. I think I more mentioned like if they're going to do a draft, that would be a good place to make some sort of championship decision in terms of a split. Draft would be a good place to do it. But I actually don't know if they're doing a draft or not. They might not be. Yo, Antoine, what up, man? Appreciate the $10. Greg, I was one of those little bees, but I did want to see the tag match because go main event of night one because I wanted them to get the pyro send off. But you're right, they're going to kill it. No, and see, that's what I agree with because those are all totally rational wants. You know, I understand fans thinking what a moment that would be. Owens, Sami beating the Usos in the main event of night one. Crowd goes nuts. Pyro, show goes off the air with those two guys celebrating. No question, that would be an unbelievable moment. But I still think you can have an unbelievable moment without it being there. So you can still get pyro. They do pyro in the middle of the show, don't they? So yeah, you might miss that, but I don't think we're not going to get a great match because of that. I think that those four men are professionals and they know what they're doing and they work well together. They've got great chemistry. This whole angle has been nothing but perfect. I'm not going to just ruin it now because one little decision didn't go the fans' way. I think that's incredibly ridiculous. But at least you're logical, though. You know, you're saying you're not bitching and moaning and whining and focusing on Charlotte. You're talking about what you should talk about. You're thinking about the moment you want for those four men in that match and them being placed in the best possible place at WrestleMania, the best possible spot to go on. I get that. That's what I want for them too. I'm just not dead set and hell bent on that it has to be in the main event of night one. It can be a lot of places. Excuse me. Little something in my throat. Couldn't cough it out. It's gone now. Who is next? Mark Galan, is that you? Appreciate the $9.99 from you, my friend. Sammy, Darby, and Jungle in the main event feels too soon. It's been 4 years, and I feel Adam Cole should have crashed MJF's bar mitzvah. Well, they might have other plans for Adam Cole. Maybe the reason Adam Cole didn't crash MJF's bar mitzvah is because Adam Cole hasn't even come back into the ring yet, and he's probably going to be doing some other stuff first. Adam Cole will get, provided he's healthy, he will get all the opportunities in AEW. He's the man. I don't feel that a 4 Pillars match is too soon at all. AEW is nearly 4 years old now. And look what happened to WWE. They drugged their feet on that 4 Horsewomen match, didn't they? And what happened? They can't do it now. So I think that doing this now is not too soon at all. I think it makes and sets up a really fun double or nothing main event, unless they do some themed Dynamite where they might put this match in the main event. But if the 4 Pillars are going to main event double or nothing, that's a great main event. And it's a great main event because MJF's going to retain. It's going to be a lot like Angle in the Hell in the Cell at Armageddon when he first won the title and he's escaping all of these title defenses. MJF will probably have a similar type of escape, getting out of that fatal 4-way and escaping by the skin of his dick and retaining the title just barely. It will be great, and it's a match you need to have. And you can argue that maybe those 4 aren't necessarily the pillars, especially now that you have, I think Britt Baker is a pillar. I think Orange Cassidy is a pillar. You might have like 6 or 7 pillars in there, but those guys were coined the pillars at first. Those were the ones the company felt had the brightest future, and all of them have been pretty successful. Darby is a 2-time TNT champion with some of the best matches we've ever seen on TV in our lives. MJF became world champion. Jungle Boy has worked with, just wrapped up a long-time feud with a veteran. And Sammy Guevara has really come into his own in the JAS and his association with Jericho and everybody else. So those 4 pillars have all been successful and have all seen decent levels of success, with MJF surpassing all of them, not even having to wrestle on Dark and Rampage to get his opportunities, which Jungle Boy used as an insult. I actually think it's a compliment, but we'll talk about that whole situation later on, but I personally don't think it's too early for those 4. I think it's an awesome main event possibility, and it's definitely going to be an exciting match. Let's see here. What do we want to get into? Why don't we get into Raw this past week? 1.7 million was the rating for Raw, so they're kind of right in there where they have been lately. I don't want to talk much about Raw because it wasn't that memorable of a show, but I think 2 segments in particular we should talk about. One of them is Edge challenging Finn Balor to a Hell in the Cell match at WrestleMania. That match is now official. What a concept. Actually using a Hell in the Cell match when you need it. Crazy that something like that would work, right? I have been preaching this for so long. Having a Hell in the Cell pay-per-view is so fucking stupid because it's in the way, it books you into a corner, and now you're forced to make Hell in the Cell matches when you might not have any issues going on at the time that would warrant one. And it has really watered down the cell. Of course, now it looks like a big fucking toy. And it's ridiculous. And I've hated the Hell in the Cell matches and pay-per-views for the past few years. And I've been saying all along, way before they even made this decision, use Hell in the Cells when you have a feud, a storyline, or a situation that calls for it. When you have a feud that's so personal, that's so deep, that's so violent, that the only way to settle it is to put them in the cell, that's when you use the cell. And Edge is using it here against Finn Balor. This is what Hell in the Cells are supposed to be. This is what they're made for. They're not made to have their own pay-per-view. They're made for when you have a match that needs it. And now we need it. Edge and Balor, who might even be the demon. Balor mentioned something about demons in his promo on Monday. So I think a return to the demon, whether it be at WrestleMania or after WrestleMania, is very likely. And an early prediction here, I think Finn Balor needs to beat Edge at Hell in the Cell. A lot of people have been talking about Edge potentially going to AEW. I think it would be crazy if he did, but he could. I mean, Christian is there. Edge's contract is coming up in WWE. He's going to be finishing up and maybe retiring in August in Toronto, like he said. But what if Edge goes and joins FTR in AEW and does some stuff with Christian? I think that might be fun. I wouldn't rule it out. And we also saw the Brock and Omos segment, which was absolute shit. Probably would have been okay had they not botched the little part where Brock got tossed over the top rope. But they finally had the face-to-face. They even do a handshake. Brock comes out there all in his denim and gets face-to-face with Omos. I think we even do a handshake. He tries to, I think, wrap Omos up into a suplex, and Omos just kind of grabs him and throws him over the top rope, but he botches it. Botches it worse than Flair dumping over Sid at the Royal Rumble 92. It was kind of like that. Went to throw him, missed. Brock got hung up on the ropes, and then he had to go over and throw him over a second time. So that whole segment was set up for one move, which they botched. And apparently, as soon as Brock got to the back, he grabbed his car keys, his phone, his wallet, and his fanny pack, and he headed right out of the building and was gone. So Brock and Omos at WrestleMania, I get we're going to see the whoosh, Here's that's another idea for an opening match. I'd open WrestleMania with Brock and Omos. Didn't we do that with, that might not have been the opening match, but it might have been. When did John Cena and the Big Show happen at WrestleMania 20? Did that open? I'm pretty sure that opened. I would do something like that. Brock and Omos open the show, give the fans that early F5, blow the roof off. 1, 2, 3. Brock's in the showers, and he's back up in Canada before night 2 even starts. So maybe that's what we get there between those two. We'll have to see. All I know is that that segment, on Raw was absolute garbage, and I don't really care much about Brock and Omos, to be honest. But last night on SmackDown was all kinds of fun. Oh, my God. So we had Cody. Like I said, he was going to moderate the Sami and Owens reunion. They've been teasing this for a while. You feel like I still thought we were a week away from the hug and the reconciliation, but they did it last night, and it was pretty brilliant the way they set it up. Cody did have the two guys in the ring trying to get them back on the same page, and just has no success. Sami, is trying his best, plead his case to Owens, and Owens, you can tell he's starting to, you're starting to chip away at him a little bit, but he still is like, instead of saying, no, fuck you, I told you I'm done. He was just like, I can't help you, and even last week, I think he said, I think on Raw, he said, I wish Sami the best. So he's changing his tune, and saying, no, fuck you, get away from me. Now it's, I wish you the best, but I can't help you. Slowly kind of getting there, right? So they get a little further with Owens. Owens still refuses to reconcile with Sami, and he walks away. And then Sami chases him out into the parking lot, and they do the segment there where Sami, says, we're more than friends, we're brothers, and you could see the sincerity, which is so cool. It's so great when you have real life childhood friends being involved in an angle like this. Is that everything he's saying to Owens is 100% genuine and legitimate, and that's. When you sew reality into a wrestling storyline, that generally makes wrestling storylines better. And this one is the absolute definition of that. So, and you could see in Sami's tone of voice, you could see in Kevin's facial expression, it's happening. And I even said, I was working last night and I saw that and I was like, oh man. And I tweeted that video and I said, the hug on the go home show is going to be so special, because in my mind, I thought they were still going to drag this out like they're dragging Dom and Rhea out. So I thought we had another week, maybe 2 weeks, but probably 1 week would be more likely to get to the end of this thing. And we ended up getting it earlier than that. So later on in the show, we have the whole show, right? And I think Jay and Sami closed the show. So Sami and Jay are in the ring cutting a promo, and Jay is telling Sami that he didn't like him at first, but then he did and grew to love him. And then he talks about Sami's betrayal. You betrayed me. You made me look bad. And Jay calls Sami a fake ass oos, and he had no choice to do what he did. And that's where Sami stops him. He goes, bullshit. You did have a choice. You did have a choice to stand up to the abuse of Roman Reigns, and you chose not to. So again, they're showing you that at the end of the day, we might get main event Jay coming out of this whole angle. When the Usos drop the titles, Roman continues his abuse. Sami, is able to turn Jay away from the bloodline, and Jay is able to go off on his own and maybe, form another friendship with Sami, maybe even Kevin Owens, and who knows where that will leave Jimmy, if he will stick with Jay or he'll go off on his own, and where Solo's loyalty will be, who knows? There's a lot of really cool things the bloodline could be doing after WrestleMania. So seeing all of that, seeing Sami being able to kind of get through to Jay, just like he was able to get through to Kevin, And don't forget, Sammy's already a guy that has changed Jay's opinion of him already once. Jay hated him, and Sami got him to love him. Jay hates him again. Sami could get him to love him again. So Sami basically says he does have a choice, and that was that was the end for Jay. He had heard enough. He attacks Sami Zayn. Jimmy Uso then joins the fray, and the two of them are beating down Sami. And you're wondering, is Cody going to come out? And instead, it's Kevin Owens' music. His music hits. Usos get ready to to face him, and he shows up from behind them instead. Comes from the crowd, hops the barricade, slides in the ring behind him, takes his jacket off, and joins Sami Zayn in beating down and running off the Usos. And the Usos clear out of there. It's Owens, it's Sami. They're kind of far apart in the ring, and to watch Owens, or make the overture towards Sami Zayn, when they're standing there and the fans are clapping, and Owens starts walking pretty directly towards Sami, and to see Sami take those, you see it, 2 to 3 steps back, like he didn't know what Owens was going to do. That was so subtle, and it was a little detail that made that execution perfect. And when the two of them came together, it was like I literally saw little red hearts floating out of the top of the fucking TV. It was that great. Fans loved it. The ovation, the energy, the emotion, the pop, that execution, Owens and Zayn coming together. And there was 2 little things that I thought was so good. One was Zayn backing up a little bit because Owens could be coming to give me a stunner. I don't know. So he's a little bit cautious. And Owens doesn't even give him the dramatic hug. He grabs him with one hand and pulls him closer. Do you see that? The little steps back and the one hand, just get over here. It was like it was like in '97 when Brett reconciled with Owen and Davey, and he had Owen in tears. And the final, it wasn't even really a hug. It was just kind of like Brett, and he rubbed Owen's head. Remember, just rubbed him on the head and grabbed him and pulled him. And it was a lot like that. And I thought that moment, that hug, that ovation from the crowd was great. I mean, they could barely even keep their balance. They were hugging so hard, they were going to fall down on each other. And that was great. So now these two guys on the same page. I don't think the match is official now. It probably will be made official on Raw or next week. It will be Owens and Sami taking on the Usos for the tag team titles now. And now we have that issue set and ready to rock for WrestleMania. And then after that, it's anybody's guess. Who knows after the Usos drop the belts, what's going to happen there? And I think the match is going to be a lot of fun. And like I said, it does not have to be in the main event. I think this match is incredibly predictable. I think Rhea and Charlotte is a little bit predictable as well. But since Charlotte is involved, you're always going to have the fan base that is going to still assume that she's going to win no matter what, just like they were with Cena. Where this one, I feel like it's a little bit more likely, unless there's some double swerve. Because Owens and Zayn, or Zayn had told Owens, hey, we've done shitty things to each other. You've turned on me. I've turned on you. We've been terrible to each other. But at the end of the day, we're brothers. But maybe that's still a thing. Maybe Owens turns on Zayn, at WrestleMania, and they don't win the tag team titles. I don't know. And then maybe Jay and Sami form an alliance. Who knows? But it's cool to see Owens and Zayn. The two of them have got to feel pretty good about this. That's why I was, criticizing the fans that were freaking out. I'm like, will you let these two guys fucking enjoy this, please? Imagine, if you will, you are going to be in one of the most memorable WrestleMania matches ever with your childhood best friend, and you guys are going to win championship gold. If that were me, the last thing in the world I would give a fuck about is if my match was the main event or not. If it was the main event, would that be nice? Of course. But I would be fine. If I'm sitting in Owens and Sami's shoes, I could fucking care less that I'm not in the main event. Does not bother me at all, and I wouldn't worry about it. I'd be excited for the moment, what this means to the two of them personally, to be able to do this together. I mean, if I was in, my best childhood friend just lost his father 2 days ago, passed away. I've been thinking about him a lot lately because his dad was like a second dad to me. I can't imagine if I got to, if I was able to win the tag team titles with my boy Brett. Yes, my best friend's name was Brett. Crazy, right? That would be incredible. It would be a great moment for us. Wow, like we were two little 10-year-old shits, and now look at just very, very, very cool. And I think it's awesome when the Edges and Christians and the Sammys and the Owens get to have these moments together. And I think we should let them enjoy that, and we should enjoy it, and we shouldn't let anything stupid ruin it for us. Also on SmackDown last night, we have our Intercontinental title match finally set. They've been trying to figure out who Gunther is going to face. A lot of Drew stuff, a lot of Sheamus stuff. triple threat last week that was a big DQ or whatever, setting up one-on-one. Last night, Sheamus versus McIntyre. Winner goes on to face Gunther at WrestleMania for the title. They do a double like Claymore Brogue Kick spot where both men go down, and Gunther and Imperium are on the outside of the ring, and the referee is like counting both guys out. Neither one are going to answer the 10 count. So Gunther then gets in the ring along with Imperium, and the three of them just attack both men. So it's a double DQ or a no contest or whatever it was. And then as Gunther and Imperium are leaving, Adam Pearce appears on the Tron and announces that, in fact, it will be a triple threat now at WrestleMania, which is kind of what we thought might happen. Gunther versus defending the title against Drew and Sheamus. Who the hell do you put over here? On one hand, Gunther is not that far off from surpassing Honky Tonk Man's record. If WWE ever wanted to get that record off of Honky Tonk Man and make somebody else other than the Honky Tonk Man be the longest running Intercontinental Champion of all time, Gunther is your man. He is the best opportunity you're going to have at this. He's already like the fourth longest running Intercontinental Champion in history, right behind Savage, Honky, and Valentine. So he's already there. I make a case for Gunther to keep going. I make a case for Gunther to keep going and to defeat Honky Tonk Man's record. Then after, that's going to be another 200 days. So that's going to be probably through SummerSlam. It's going to be really hard to pull that off. But I kind of wish they would. But I also think that WWE might have bigger plans for Gunther. So if they want Gunther to be in the title picture, if they want Gunther to face Brock at SummerSlam or something like that, then you might need to get the IC belt off of him because it's kind of like in the way. But they might want to put him in the Money in the Bank match. What if Gunther wins the Money in the Bank match? Think of the ovation London's going to give that boy. It's going to be something else. So lots of things you can do with Gunther. I think it would be awesome if he became the longest running Intercontinental Champion ever. But I can also understand WWE wanting to get the belt off of him to do other stuff. Plus, Sheamus and Drew both deserve moments. Sheamus has never won the Intercontinental title. You can have Sheamus win the belt here and protect Gunther by having Sheamus pin Drew, and you can do vice versa. You can make Drew IC by pinning Sheamus. Either way, I'm protecting Gunther here. In no way, shape, or form do I want to see Gunther take a pin at WrestleMania. I would have been okay if it was Gunther and Sheamus one-on-one. Then I think like after everything that Sheamus and Gunther had been through, it would be okay to have Gunther take a loss to Sheamus. No big deal. He can easily recover from that. Now that it's a triple threat, I either want Gunther protected, losing the title without being pinned, or I just want Gunther to retain. And hey, if they were to separate out the world titles like we've been hearing about and the Universal title goes back to SmackDown, give it to Drew. Give it to Drew. Give it to Drew so he can pass it to Gunther, or give it to Drew so he can pass it to anybody like Gunther down the road. Poor Drew never got his moment WrestleMania a couple years ago. But you could also make the same case for Sheamus. You can make the same case for a couple of guys. But McIntyre, I think if you were going to put the Universal title back on SmackDown, McIntyre holding it after coming up unsuccessful against Roman a couple of times there, and then maybe dropping it to Roman, because one thing we're forgetting is that we're acting like Roman's going to be gone forever after WrestleMania. He might take a little bit of time off. He might be absent for a short time, but Roman Reigns is going to be far from gone, and I seriously doubt Roman Reigns' character would have a title run as long as he had, only to when he lost the belts, he's just done with it. Wouldn't you think that if Roman Reigns lost the belts at WrestleMania due to some betrayal of Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, or both, he's going to have some shit to say about that immediately on Monday Night Raw or the very latest SmackDown the next week? Roman's really going to go home after that? Maybe if he's betrayed by his family, he needs to go home to regroup, and then he comes back in a couple of months. Either way, Roman's going to have a match at SummerSlam. He's probably going to have a match at Crown Jewel, or King of the Ring, or whatever the fuck. He's probably also going to have a match at Money in the Bank. He might be in Money in the Bank. So, I guess he couldn't be there, but I'd put Roman in London for sure. So you got to wonder what Roman is going to do after all of this. If he retains, then he's just going to keep going probably towards, setting some all-time records with the title. But if not, then he's going to want his titles back. So either way, you have to factor Roman into your plans as well, I would assume. What else happened on SmackDown last night? Oh, yeah, Dominic And Rhea Ripley won a mixed tag. They defeated Santos Escobar and Zelina Vega with a sick-ass riptide to Zelina for the win. That looked awesome. Rhea gets the win for her team. After the match, Dominic's talking shit to Ray. Of course, Dominic wants a WrestleMania match. Ray continues to decline this match. He declined it on Raw. Now he's out there again, and he told Dominic again to his face, I am not going to fight you. What do I have to say to get you to understand this? Which is funny. That's the same language Owens was using with Sami Zayn, and Owens came around. So Zayn was able to convince Owens. I think Dominic's going to be able to convince Ray. And like I talked about last week, after Ray was announced to be the first inductee into the Hall of Fame, since Ray continues to refuse to accept this match, then I think you do it at the Hall of Fame itself. I mean, SmackDown is going to run before the Hall of Fame, so you could do Ray and Dominic on SmackDown. But at this point, you've gotten to the point where Ray, his pride will not let him harm his son, no matter what. There has to be a tipping point. There has to be a point where Ray has no choice. And like I said, I think Dominic jumps him at the Hall of Fame, attacks him while he's at the podium, beats him down. With maybe all of Judgment Day can be there. Probably just Rhea would make the most sense. Rhea maybe because Conan is going to induct Ray, right? So Dominic jumps Ray. Rhea comes in, decks Conan. Conan hits the floor. He can sell for Rhea. Just do it, Conan. So Conan goes down. Dominic is just raining blows on his dad. And then any baby faces in the crowd, Edge, anybody, Edge would be a good one because he's feuding with Balor. Jump in. Just like when Bret Hart got attacked that year, FTR, pulled the guy away, was fucking punching his face all the time. So baby faces like run in there to save Ray. Dominic and Rhea scamper off laughing, and they help Ray up. Maybe have Ray bleed or something, a little blood on his eye, and he gets up and his suit's torn, because his son just ripped his suit, took his Hall of Fame plaque, broke it. Ray is literally in tears as Edge helps him up, and Ray just stumbles to the podium and he grabs the mic. I didn't want to do this, but I have no choice. Dominic, I will see you at WrestleMania. Hall of Fame audience goes nuts. Match is set, Ray and Dominic, and then Ray just fucks his kid up at WrestleMania. So I kind of hope that's what happens because Ray is showing so much pride, so much belief that a father should never lay his hand on his kid, no matter what the circumstances are. We might be testing the levels of those circumstances. And if Dominic ruins that Hall of Fame induction, that's when Ray should accept the match right there at the Hall of Fame the night before the show. And you do it on night one because I wouldn't want a day buffer. I'd want to do that shit the next night. I'd open with it. I know I've mentioned like 4 different matches opening WrestleMania. That's another one. Dominic against Rey Mysterio. Especially if Rhea Ripley is going to be main eventing, you open with Dom and Ray. Ray beats Dom. And then in the main event, Ripley beats Charlotte. You could do that. Or you put Ray and Dom night 2. I don't know if you would want, I don't know what's better. What do you guys think? Do you want Ripley's title win, assuming that's the plan, to happen before or after Ray and Dom's match? So if it happens before Ray and Dom's match, then you want Ray and Dom on night 2. But if it happens after, you could open night 1 with Ray and Dom, have Ray get that moment, and maybe right the wrong that was done to him the night before, just 24 hours before, less than that actually. And he beats Dominic, and then in the main event, Rhea gets her moment against Charlotte. And I don't even know how Rhea gets that done either. I don't know if Dominic is going to be out there, if Judgment Day is going to have anything to do with the match with Charlotte, or if Rhea's just going to go out there and beat her clean. I hope that she is, but who knows? They could do anything there. But that is, in a nutshell, what we saw on SmackDown last night. One other thing I should mention, because I'm not going to talk about these other matches that took place. They are making 2 other WrestleMania matches for the show. They're going to be called WrestleMania Showcase matches. I guess they're going to be tag matches, fatal 4-way tags, I believe. 1 men's, 1 women's. They're going to be doing qualifiers for this, I guess. Last night, they had Liv Morgan and Raquel defeat Tegan Nox and Emma. They've qualified. Sounds like they're going to be taking on like Shayna and Ronda and who else? What's her name? Chelsea Green and maybe Natalia and I don't know, somebody else. And then on the men's side of things, I think it's going to be, although I think they have to qualify for this first, it sounds like it's going to be Street Profits, Alpha Academy, Viking Raiders, and Strowman and Ricochet, perhaps. So we have 2 WrestleMania Showcase matches, which are going to be 4-way tags. So 8 competitors in each one of those matches. So those 2 matches added 16 more wrestlers to the WrestleMania card. That's pretty good. There's also some talk about Becky and Lita doing double duty. They might work with Trish in a 6-woman against Damage Control, but then defend the tags against Ronda and Shayna. That's also part of the rumors. Let's run through what we have so far for WrestleMania. Here's what we got. We've got Roman and Cody at the top, Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley, Bianca versus Asuka. We have John Cena taking on Austin Theory. Also some talk about John Cena wrestling Logan Paul this year at SummerSlam. Now, Logan and Cena was rumored for WrestleMania, and they opted to go with Theory and Cena instead. Sounds like Paul and Cena could be happening at SummerSlam. Interesting. We have Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew for the IC. We have Edge and Balor in a Hell in a Cell. We have Logan Paul taking on Seth Rollins. Brock Lesnar versus Omos. Possibly Becky, Lita, and Trish versus Damage Control. I'm not sure if that match is official or not. And Becky and Lita might have to do double duty, defending the titles perhaps the next night against Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey. Speaking of those 2, they might be on double duty too. I think maybe Becky and Lita work night 1, and so do Shayna and Ronda. Wouldn't be surprised at all if they won that women's showcase match and then go in to face Becky and Lita on night 2. Possibly something they could do. And of course, we have Dominic Mysterio against Rey Mysterio. We are going to get that, and we are going to get the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn announced at some point. So that should put the total somewhere around 13 matches, which is what I said weeks back. I said if we do about 7 matches on each night, I think that's a good balance because there is going to be no battle royal or anything like that. And that's what we're looking at right now. Let me know if I left a match out because I might have. Let's see what JJ Leg has to say. Oh, no, we got another one. Mark up here earlier sent in 5 more. Thanks, dude. I mean, Sammy is still Jericho's lackey. Darby is better off feuding with Christian, and I thought Jungle wanted the FTW title. Darby is better off feuding with Christian. Why is Darby better off feuding with Christian? Have they been feuding before? It's a very specific opponent choice for Darby, but I think it would be fine. Darby and Christian would be cool. Yeah, I don't really agree with any of that, Mark Galan. I appreciate the super chats, but I don't mean to be combative at all or argumentative. I just don't see it that way. I think the problem with you is you don't like those 3 guys, so that's becoming very clear. I don't have any issue with them, therefore I don't have any issue with them getting a title shot. And I think when you hear about, like for example, Mark, what would you have said if it was MJF against Moxley and Claudio in the main event? Moxley, Claudio, and Danielson. It was a 4-way with those 4 guys. What do you think the fans would be saying? It's all ex-WWE guys or push your own guys or whatever. This is the pillars. These are the guys that the company believes is the future of the company. And you want new, fresh talent. And that's what you have. Well, not necessarily a young talent, but newer talent that hasn't quite gotten world title opportunities, all of them yet. I think the match is going to be so fantastic because all guys physically are really at their physical peak. Darby Allin is having the matches of his life right now. MJF, physically, the best he's ever been. Made a lot of people believers in that Iron Man match. And you have Jungle Boy, who I still agree needs some work. He's probably the weakest promo of the 4, but he just had a great feud with Christian putting him over. And Guevara, Jericho's lackey. Why is he Jericho's lackey? He's barely been associated with Jericho. They're not less sex gods anymore. Sometimes they reference that. They have an occasional tag together, but they're not joined at the hip like they used to. Remember the cutout of the 2 of them hugging? That's long gone. There's lots more JAS members now. It's not just Sammy and Jericho. So I think Sammy was way more Jericho's lackey back in the day than he is now. If I read between the lines there in your tweet, Mark, I think the situation is you just don't like those guys, which is fine. But when you try to rationalize it like it doesn't make sense, that's not fine. I disagree with that. Oh, no. What did I say that you guys are saying? Jesus, no. Yeah, and remember, too, Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar opened the show at WrestleMania 45 because Brock had to lose the title and he wanted to go home early. So they just came out there. Remember, it was like Hogan doing his speech and Paul Heyman just walks right past him, gets in the ring, announces Brock. We have the Seth Brock match to open the show. Bada bing, bada boom, Seth's champ, and Brock's on an airplane. So you could do that here as well with any number of matches, title matches, whatever. And hey, if they do wind up separating the world titles, and we have 2 men's world titles this time next year, then one of those titles is not going to be the main event of one of those WrestleManias, and you guys are going to have to be okay with that. So buckle up. Anyway, let's get into... Oh, wait, we can't do that yet. I got to answer one more super chat. JJ Leg, appreciate the $5 from you, my friend. Even though it's earned its right as a PLE, Money in the Bank is a perfect match to get people involved for Mania. It is. There was some talk about maybe moving the Money in the Bank matches back to WrestleMania, which I would have been in complete favor of. However, if there is one match concept that I can tolerate having its own pay-per-view, it's Money in the Bank. I think the Chamber and the Cell and TLC is all dumb as hell. But the Money in the Banks have been entertaining because it gives you 2 extremely important matches on the card with very, very high stakes. And a lot of times it can serve as the show that ushers in a new era or in the company or a new champion or something like that. They can start laying the groundwork for the future and for the following year storylines at that very pay-per-view. So in that regard, I'm okay with it. So I kind of agree with you, JJ. It's earned its right as a PLE, but if you did have it at Mania, what a great way to get people involved, because every Money in the Bank match at Mania before they took it away was one that we looked forward to, right? We were always really excited about the Money in the Bank matches. So if they did resurrect those, that would be great. No complaints from me. Let me see what else we got. Pretty low audience today. Must be that March Madness stuff going on. So those of you who are here, help Greg out. Give me a little thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Let's talk briefly about Dynamite and then see what else we have to get into before we wrap things up today. I thought today would be a 2-hour podcast. We're probably going to come in a little bit under that, so that's not too bad. Dynamite this past Wednesday, I want to apologize. I attempted to do a live stream on Wednesday. I was so tired. Do you ever have an off day? But I already planned to do the stream all day. I was dragging ass. I was so tired trying to get shit done. I was so out of the moment. I wasn't prepared to stream. I tried to come up here. We had terrible weather. It was raining its nuts off, which was giving us some internet troubles throughout the day. So I think we lost connection briefly. My mic started frying. My voice sounded weird. It was all because it was pouring down rain. There were storms and all that stuff. And it was just a mess. As soon as the stream was over, I deleted it. It was just like that bad. So we will not be here watching Dynamite together this Wednesday. I do have plans, but we will pick those back up probably the following week. And maybe to make up for it, I'll be here for Raw on Monday, just not sure yet. And this past week's Dynamite was fun. Now, the rating was still down, 852,000. I think they were in the 800 range last week as well. So I think they were technically up, but below that million mark. And I've maintained all along, if AEW's rating is between 800,000 and 1.1 million, I literally have no opinion about it. That's where the ratings should be. That's where the ratings have always been. If they pull a 1.2 or a 1.3 one week, I'll be like, holy shit, and I'll comment on that. If they pull a 700,000 or lower one week, I'll comment on that too. But I think anytime AEW is within that 800K to 1.1 million, there's really not much to talk about there. So the rating was what it was. Raw, I think, was down a little bit too, 1.7 million for them. So yeah, they're always, WWE sits right about double AEW's rating, and it's always been that way for the past few years. I don't know why there's so much debate every day when ratings come out. But the show opened up on Wednesday with the really fun segment with the pillars. So we got, I think it's what a hillbilly calls a pillow fight. Yeah, we got ourselves a pillar fight. We got a pillar fight maybe coming up on Double or Nothing. Like I said, unless they do some themed Dynamite show and do it there, I think it would be fun to do it Double or Nothing. And that's a match that I'm likely going to see live because I probably will make the trip to Vegas to watch that pay-per-view. So we had the rebar mitzvah of MJF. He took a week off after his Iron Man match win last week. And I guess we would find out why he wasn't on TV last week, because he came out to the ring here that's set up with balloons with this big hat and big glasses on, and it would become apparent why he was wearing this big hat and big glasses later on. So this was going to be fun. I was looking forward to it because they had shit posted all over social media from his bar mitzvah when he was 13, and they went all out with the girls and the titties and the dancing and MJF doing his little poses. And he was just, he said even in his promo, he lost his V card that night. Good for him at age 13. And he was in the ring by himself first, celebrating his moment, shitting on Winnipeg, shitting on Bret Hart, saying Shawn Michaels was better, talking about how, he's Jewish, so he's one of the chosen ones. All amazing stuff. Talked about his first bar mitzvah where he lost his V card and all of that. And then they do the chair thing in the ring. A bunch of extras come out, put them in the chair, and do the thing. It was so good. And the first guy to come out and interrupt this is Jungle Boy. And we're watching it live, and I don't think it's registering to me what they're doing. I just see Jungle Boy coming out, and I'm like, huh. Even MJF seems very concerned about Jungle Boy. And I'm like, just chill, dude. It's not, he's by himself. Luchasaurus isn't with him. So let's not shit our pants here. It's just Jungle Boy. So MJF seems very concerned about Jungle Boy coming down. I don't even know what this is about until Sammy Guevara comes down. And I'm like, this is even weirder. And then as soon as all three of them are in the ring, it registers. I'm like, holy shit, Darby should come out. And then here he comes. Sure enough, Darby comes out, and you've got the 4 AEW pillars occupying a corner of the ring with MJF as champion. And that's great. So everybody's got shit to say, right? MJF is mad. Everybody's there. You guys are ruining my bar mitzvah. What the hell do you want? And in unison, all three guys say, a title shot. Great moment. They pulled it off perfectly. A title shot. So they all want a title shot. So Jungle Boy, I believe, was the first one to speak, and his was the funniest. I think, Jungle Boy, I really, really like. I still think repetition and more promo practice is going to get this guy better. He does talk like he's got marbles in his mouth. I don't know why. So he'll get better there. He's not a weak promo, but I think he's the weakest of the ones in the ring. And some of the things he was saying about MJF was that, he's never had to basically pay his dues. You don't have to work dark. When was the last time you were ever on dark? You've never even had to work Rampage, he said. We have got a locker room of talent back there who would bust their ass for 60 seconds of TV time while you walk around here with the special treatment, doing whatever you want, getting to do whatever you want, getting all of the opportunities handed to you. And I'm laughing at this when Jungle Boy is talking because I'm like, why is this an insult? MJF is doing what every single wrestler should aspire to do. You should try to know your value, not get booked because you're considered a special attraction. If you're on the show, it's a big deal. You just don't wrestle every week on every show, on every match you can get your hands on. MJF has done a great job building himself up to this point and getting himself to this point where he is this privileged to where he doesn't have to work these things. Look at his win-loss record over the past couple of years. He has not had a ton of matches. He wrestles super rarely compared to some of the rest of the stars. Roman Reigns is a lot like that in WWE, but MJF has been doing that even before he was champion. So Jungle kind of pointing this out, I found funny because I'm like, this should be a source of pride for MJF, not something that he's embarrassed about. He should be like, you're damn right I don't have to work those rinky-dink ass YouTube shows. I'm MJF. People pay to see me. You can wrestle on YouTube if you want, but I'm not gonna. And it was just a weird argument for Jungle Boy to make. And then Sammy, I believe, spoke up, and him and MJF had some funny fiance jabs that they traded. MJF said something about, oh, look, it's Sammy. I'm going to propose to another girl again in 7 months, Guevara. And Guevara's like, speaking of fiancés, didn't yours leave you? Great stuff. And as MJF is making his entrance earlier, by the way, he's accompanied by a couple of really smoking hot babes. And he just tongue kisses the shit out of one of them when he was getting in the ring. So that was pretty funny. And then it's Darby Allin's turn to talk. Darby's got some things to say. Holy shit, wasn't expecting this from him. Again, all four, the MJF is, he has no equal when it comes to a promo, in AEW. He's easily the best in the ring here. None of these other three guys are necessarily bad at promos, but I've never really considered them great promo guys. Darby and Sammy can talk and they can cut promos effectively, but I've never really thought of them as the great promo cutters in the business. And Darby, he had a lot of real things that he was revealing about behind the scenes, talking about Max and how unappreciative he is of his success, talking a lot about himself, says, what's attracted me to AEW is Tony Khan giving me a place where I can be myself, and that's worth more than money ever will be. Talked about the dues he paid and being true to himself and how MJF violated all of that. And then talked about the wrestlers in the back who go online and whine and complain that they don't get the TV time. I'm not happy. I want out of my contract. So that was pretty surprising because we do know there are people in the company that do have creative frustrations. This is the same with every promotion ever. There have been people that have worked for Vince Sr., Vern Gagne, Vince Jr., Paul Heyman, Eric Bischoff. Everybody across the board has talent that are there that are unhappy. There's nothing different about this. So the fans that think that AEW's got some traumatic turmoil behind the scenes, they don't have any more than any wrestling company does. There wasn't a time that long ago where everything was a hot fucking complete toilet bowl mess in WWE. Everybody hated it there, and things have gotten a little bit better, although things are pretty nerve-wracking right now with the uncertainty of the company's future. In AEW, it's the same thing. And Darby pointing this out, on one hand, I kind of like that he's doing this, but on the other hand, this is the same type of shit that led to your brawl out back in September. And I'm not sure if that's a good idea either, to rile up any more talent or get the talent, against each other, unless, they're really just singling out a few people that are doing the primary whining, I suppose. But Darby goes on to say his piece, and then MJF gets mad or something, and he takes off his hat and glasses to reveal a gnarly looking eye. He's got a black eye from that Iron Man match that's still completely black. You can't even really see his pupil. He almost looks like a Malachi Black or something. And he is busted up. And everybody was like, holy shit. And Darby even goes, he goes, you look like shit. So called him out for how bad he looked. And he did look really bad, which explains that weird getup he was wearing. So that implies that this match is probably going to be happening at Double or Nothing, which I think is great. You've got 2 months to build that. You got 4 guys involved here. You can do a lot of little different series of matches and segments that lead up to that. And I think you can have a super fun, exciting, high action 4-way title match main event with 2 of the youngest, most athletic guys you have in your company who can do some really good things. And this is a good platform to be on. I brought up Mark earlier, who mentioned, I see what you're saying. So Mark says here, he goes, I like Darby, Sami, and Jungle too. I just think it should have happened in All Out. Okay, so you don't have anything against them necessarily, so I'm sorry for implying that you did, but you want it to happen at All Out, so you wanted to wait just 3 more months? Because when you said they weren't ready, I was thinking, or it's too early, I was thinking what, you want to wait another year? So you just want to wait a couple months? What's really the difference between May and August? I mean, it's not much. So I don't think that the match would necessarily be better, or all 4 guys would be in a better professional spot 3 months after that. I don't know why that would really be any different. If they did it All Out, though, dude, I'm totally in favor of that. I am totally in favor of it. But what this also kind of reminds me of is this is a good opportunity for them to show the world what they can do. Remember Fully Loaded 2000? We watched it as a watch-along last year, I think. And WWE set that match up. Granted, there was main eventers involved, but Jericho, Benoit, and Angle all got their big moments. Those 3 guys all got their big moments against the top stars to showcase, to feature, to show what they can do. And even back then, there were some chatter of, Jericho's not ready for this, Angle's not ready for this, Benoit's not ready for this. That exists for sure. But I don't think a 4-way match between those 4 guys at All Out would be any better than a 4-way match at Double or Nothing. What would really be the difference there? What the logo on the apron says? Now, if you wanted to wait a whole nother year because you thought they needed another year of seasoning, I can understand, I guess, that opinion, even though I don't really agree with it. I could get that. But just a couple of months, again, I would have just done it there. You could do it there or Double or Nothing, but they're setting it up now. And another thing you got to think about, too, from AEW's perspective is that if the plan is to keep the belt on MJF for a while, you do need to set him up with opponents and pay-per-views that he can win. Having Adam Cole come out and challenge MJF, do you want Adam Cole to come back, immediately challenge the champion and lose? No, you should save that one. Get Adam Cole back, get him back on TV, give him some matches, build himself up, set Adam Cole and MJF up for All Out or Full Gear or something like that later on, instead of just bringing him back and throwing him right in there. If they want MJF to have a 6-month run, you need to put matches in front of MJF that he can win, that won't damage any of your talent that you have future for. So a great 4-way match, this occupies a great main event spot that Maxwell can win. Because none of those other 3 guys are going to win the title, I don't believe. I think this is purposely designed for a match for Maxwell to win, to add to his resume, to add to his bragging rights. Because now this is the best heels do this. Jericho, to this day, doesn't shut up about beating Austin and Rock in the same night. And Maxwell beat the best wrestler in the world in a 1-hour Iron Man match, proving all the haters wrong at Revolution. The next pay-per-view, he's going to beat 3 of AEW's top brightest stars. And he's going to beat all 3 of them. And he's going to come out on TV and say, I knocked down the pillars. I hold up this company by myself now. There's one pillar. It's me. Can't you see that? That would be great promo stuff. An excellent way for Maxwell to brag and build up himself before he does finally lose that belt. Because anybody you put in front of Maxwell in the next couple of months, he's probably going to beat. So I'm not putting anybody in there who should beat him in there with him yet until it's time for that. So if you want to do Adam Cole, if you want to go back to Kenny Omega, go back to Hangman, who knows? CM Punk could come back this summer and we could have CM Punk and MJF at All Out. Wouldn't you rather have that, Mark? What would you rather have at All Out? The 4 Pillars match that we're going to do at Double or Nothing, or MJF and CM Punk? That could happen at Double or Nothing. I mean, hell, at All Out, MJF is dropping enough hints and referencing Punk enough. I feel like MJF goes out of his way to reference Punk any chance he gets. There might be something to that. Who knows? But I love the idea of a 4 Pillars match at Double or Nothing. I think it's going to be fantastic. Now, Meltzer, he did speak this week a little bit about and elaborated on Darby's promo, because Darby, like I said, did talk a lot about the whiny wrestlers in the locker room who complain online and bitch and moan and whatever. Now, Meltzer said this week that, he acknowledged the fact that there are wrestlers who don't want to be there. There are wrestlers who have come from WWE that have been a great asset to the locker room, and some who have been anything but. And there definitely are people who are upset, and none of them are scared to complain because there's no fear. Why would they be fearful if they want out of their contracts anyway? So a lot of them might have the attitude of, good, maybe I'll get fired. Now, Meltzer does mention that this is not good. This makes the company look bad, and it does. The same thing happens to WWE when all of their talent is pissed off. Now, we usually have the back of the talent, at least from WWE's side. A lot of the creative frustrations, the stupid shit they were making talent do, we fully understood any frustrations. If Sasha walking out and just putting up with, that level of nonsense, I usually have the talent's back on that, because I think it's got to take a lot for a talent to walk out. The fans that sit on their ass at home and pass judgment about stuff like that. Oh, Sasha's just a little whiny baby. How the fuck do you know? You don't know what's going on back there or what other frustrations she's dealing with. She probably had very good reason to walk out. This is a woman that's leaving a lot of money on the table to do that. There must have been a reason. You just don't do that over the smallest little disagreement. So I think fans some of them don't have any idea will never have any idea what it's like to have success on that level and the decisions that might come along with that to success. It's really easy, to sit here as an average Joe and talk about what you think these wrestlers should or should not be doing. It's another thing to be involved in it and doing it yourself. So a lot of times when the talent has issues, I'm generally going to take their side because, they want to be there. They love wrestling. They're making good money. They've got good contracts. But, at some point you might reach, your boiling point when it comes to your frustrations, especially creatively. And that can lead to talent being upset, complaining online, complaining anywhere, walking out on shows. We've had that happen several times in WWE. We haven't had anybody walk out on a match in AEW yet, have we? And it's happened already a couple of times in WWE just in the last couple of years. So, talent being frustrated makes the company look bad. Yes, but at the same time, much like in WWE, when people were frustrated their frustrations would make the company look bad, sure, but it would be much nicer if the company could do things to satisfy these wrestlers, whatever issues they are having, or if things could be settled more professionally behind closed doors. And maybe talent has attempted to talk to Tony Khan and it hasn't worked, so then they decide to use social media as a platform to do it. I don't know the situations with any of these people, so I don't know how to judge it, but if I'm going to defend the talent in WWE for being frustrated and maybe wanting to leave, I got to defend the talent in AEW for the same reason. If there are people there who just aren't creatively fulfilled and don't want to be there and regret their decision signing there, that's, part of me says, well, that's kind of what goes with the territory. If you're going to be a pro wrestler and you're going to sign financial contracts to get paid to do this, things might happen during that time that you might not like or whatever. And that's just the way it is. But on the other side of that, I feel like if the company, WWE or AEW, is not doing anything with you, they should let you go. And it bugged me so hard how they would hold people like Luke Harper and so many other wrestlers hostage who we knew wanted to leave, but they wouldn't let them go just for spite. It wasn't going to damage the company at all to let these people go and live their lives and try to get a few more years out of wrestling before they get too old to do this anymore. And just to hold them hostage out of spite, what was some of these talents that they're holding hostage? How badly were they going to affect WWE if they left? Like look at Sasha Banks. She got away from them. Is WWE going out of business now without Sasha? No. As a matter of fact, I think they actually wish her the best and are hoping to do business with her again. But any talent who wants out, I hope they get what they want. But in terms of voicing your frustration, I think there needs to be a balance there between trying to get your point across and also not damaging the company or the locker room of your peers who are counting on this company, to make money and further their careers as well. So I think Meltzer had a lot of good points there when he said shit like this makes the company look bad. It does. And I think wrestlers need to cool it. But, then again, management, Tony Khan and creative needs to do a better job on their end too. Just like in WWE, believe it or not, all these problems aren't exclusive to just one company. Happens everywhere because I have been watching wrestling a long time. And I remember hearing stories about frustration. Part of the reason why we are doing this right now, the WWE exists because a promoter was too fucking stupid to push the right guy. When Vern Gagne didn't belt up Hulk Hogan, he jumped to WWE, worked for Vince, and changed the business. This dates back so far with bookers making poor decisions or not pushing the right guy or whatever. You have talent frustrated. This has never not been that way. Half of Paul Heyman's locker room hated him in ECW because he was a lying sack of shit who bounced checks. So why is that? Why is Tony Khan so much worse than all these other shitty promoters who have done so many shitty things? Every wrestling company, no matter how good things are going to have disgruntled pieces of talent there. It's just the way it is. And Darby releasing some of that frustration on some of the locker room, I liked, but I also worry about stuff like that can just drive a further wedge, especially when it seems like AEW has worked so hard to repair morale from All Out. You hate to see things, still kind of all over the place. Now, they're going to get a third show on Saturday. That's going to be starting soon. There is going to be more, and they're starting the All Access show, I think next Wednesday or in a week or two. That's going to follow Dynamite. So there is more TV time coming. Maybe things can get better as we move into the summer. We got Forbidden Door coming up. Last year's Forbidden Door was a monumental success. So this should be no different. And it should be a great summer, provided AEW keeps their shit together and their ducks are all in a nice little even row right there. Let's hope that they are. The other awesome development on Dynamite is what happened with the Elite and Hangman Page. Now, the Bullet Club, the Blackpool Combat Club, took on Hangman Page, Evil Uno, and Stu Grayson, hometown Winnipeg boy, who got the second All Elite graphic. So he's All Elite again. I think he's the first guy to get the All Elite graphic twice. That's kind of cool. And he's so good. The crowd loved him. Hometown crowd loved Stu Grayson. In the end, though, he got choked out by Jon Moxley, and the Blackpool Combat Club won that match. I love them as heels. Moxley and Claudio together as ass kickers is pretty fun. Wheeler Yuta acting like a little obnoxious shit. I never knew how good that can be. I think he's going to be great as a heel. I wasn't sure how somebody like Yuta would do as a heel, but since he's kind of being a little shit, that's what makes him awesome. You just want to slap him, and that's what's great about Wheeler Yuta. Also, we had Orange Cassidy successfully defending his international title. Of course, they've rebranded the All-Atlantic title to the international title to co-promote this Shazam bullshit, whatever that's about. They had that on Wednesday. They had the new international title sitting there on a podium when Cassidy came down with the JanSport. He took the old belt out of the JanSport and put it on the podium and took the new one and put it in the JanSport. That was great. It was kind of like Austin grabbing the new big blue from Vince and then dropping the winged eagle on his foot. Kind of like that. Good stuff. Has a match with Jarrett. Many fans thought Jarrett might actually be able to pull off the upset here and win the title. Luckily, that did not happen. Cassidy retained. But I had a thought about Jarrett because he's doing so well. He's in phenomenal shape for his age. He's been doing great work in AEW, and I've really enjoyed him there. When he first showed up, my first thought was, why do we need Jeff Jarrett on our TV? But I have completely changed my tune because he has been very entertaining. So if AEW does in fact do the Owen Hart tournament this year, I think Jarrett should be in it. I think Jarrett might win it. In it and win it. Wouldn't that be nice? Because think about it. Who in AEW or anywhere right now is old enough to actually have worked with Owen Hart in some capacity? I know there's Edge in WWE. Probably Christian in AEW. Worked with him at some point, or at least crossed paths with him a little before Owen died. And of course, Jarrett. And I'm trying to think who else, maybe a current active roster wrestlers right now that have had any sort of Owen experience or matches before ever. And Jarrett, of course, was tag team champions with Owen. So if Jarrett were to win the Owen tournament, that might be kind of a nice moment for him, and to have that moment with Martha. I don't know, but at least be in the tournament. Maybe not win it. Maybe let somebody else, a young talent, win the tournament and get that belt and get that moment. I understand that. I'll agree with that. But having him in the tournament, I think would be cool, and would be nice for fans my age. Also on Wednesday, Jade Cargill defeated Nicole Matthews, who was her mystery opponent, Canadian indie worker, who a lot of people know of. She beat her in about 30 seconds. And then after the match was when Taya Valkyrie showed up. She was rumored to be Jade's opponent, and she came out on social media and said she would not be Jade's opponent. And Taya did not lie. She wasn't Jade's opponent. She came out at the end. She got her hands on Layla Gray and hit Jade's finisher. I think the two women might have the same finisher. I'm not sure. But we're going to get to Jade and Taya at some point. And she did, in fact, sign with the company. She is All Elite officially. And then in the main event of Dynamite was really good. It was the Triple Threat Trios match. It was House of Black defending against the Elite and JAS. Great match. The Kenny and Jericho stuff was fun because both men are from Winnipeg. Dynamite was in Winnipeg. The crowd had a lot of fun with that. Buddy Matthews ended up pinning Danny Garcia for the win, so he pinned a JAS member to retain the title. Big post-match brawl after the match. The BCC shows up. Combat Club comes out along with Hangman Page, and Hangman finds himself cornered in the ring with all three members of the Blackpool Combat Club, and he's in the ring by himself, and then in from behind, scoot in the Elite. Kenny and the Bucks come up to stand side by side with Hangman. At first, he's kind of in the middle, but then it's clearly, it's clearly known that they have his back, and the Combat Club kind of retreated because it was 4-on-3. They don't have Danielson with them right now. And so now, people who say AEW has got no stories, they do have some stories. And this is a big one because the Elite and Hangman Page together, I think that it's been, I think that's what is going to generate some of the best success and ratings for the company, is to have the Elite not only featured, but together, and to have Hangman and this issue that's been going on with him and the Elite for years now is fun to see them kind of together again. And if this is going to lead to some sort of feud with the Blackpool Combat Club, you got to wonder, since they're down a man, who are they going to have to even out the foursome here? This is assuming this match or feud is even going to take place, because they kind of left you with a cliffhanger and you didn't really know. Hangman and the Elite just kind of looking at each other, and Hangman leaving. They didn't have some big tearful reunion like Sami and Owens did. So you don't really know what's going on with them, but they're doing enough to tease that the Hangman Page and Elite reunion might be here. So if BCC is down a man and Danielson's not available, what's that dude's name? Oh, God, what's his name? I forget. He used to be champion, lives in Chicago. Oh, man, it's like right on the tip of my tongue. He comes out to cult the personality. What is that guy's name? He's probably a good good candidate to maybe even out things against the Elite. If you have Moxley, Claudio, and Yuta bring out CM Punk to go up against the Elite, oh my God, that would be so good. So good, but we'll have to see if any of that happens. Next week, we got a big one. We've got Kenny Omega taking on El Hijo del Vikingo, 25-year-old Mexican luchador sensation, taking on Kenny Omega this week. So cue all of the "who's this guy" tweets and complaints from people who actually get mad about somebody that they might not know or never seen before. Here's an idea. Instead of saying, "Who's this guy?" say, "Oh, who's this guy?" Be curious, not judgmental. Walt Whitman. So I think this match could be a lot of fun. I'm not that familiar with this fella, although I've seen plenty of highlights of his matches. I've seen a few interviews that he's been in. I've known he's existed, but I didn't really realize this was as big of a dream match as they are trying to promote it as, because I think this match was already booked one time before, maybe around the pandemic time or era. So it was hard to get that done. Now we're going to get it this week on Dynamite, and I think that's fantastic. Maybe what's the story? Well, maybe the story is two awesome wrestlers facing each other. That's your story. So as a wrestling fan, I don't think you should concern yourself or be too obsessed with stories, because you sound like my fucking grandma. Did anybody else's grandma call her soap operas her stories? I got to watch my stories. That's what you guys sound like. Where's the stories? Where's the stories? Stories are great, but sometimes matches are great too. And there's nothing at all wrong with that. And to purposely be a dick about a match like that and having such a shitty attitude about it. Who's this guy? Instead of, oh, who's this guy? I should learn about him, or maybe see if there's any info about him, because they wouldn't put him in the ring against Kenny Omega on Dynamite if he was some piece of shit. He's not Luigi Primo. This is a guy that can actually work and is good enough to be put in a TV match against Kenny Omega. That should tell you all you need to know. Being a dick about it is kind of pointless, especially in today's day and age when Google is 4 inches from your fucking face. It's on your phone. It's on your computer. It's everywhere. Look him up. Look him up. Not hard. Anyway, that is going to do it for me and my notes. Let me cruise to the chat. See if there's anything else you guys want to say. He's also the AAA champion. I did not even know that. Yes, CM Punk would be the guy. Good to see Jet the Hawk chiming in too. Right on. Nice on Gorilla fan is here. Yeah, you missed SmackDown last night. I did see most of it. Right on. Yeah, some people are a bit late, but that's my fault too, because I was a bit late coming up here today because I've got a busy night this evening. So I am going to go ahead and wrap things up now. It's been a great long podcast, fun Saturday. Great talking to you guys about this stuff. I appreciate you all being here. Don't forget, we are going to be here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be watching WrestleMania 20 right here on the channel. The link is all ready to go over there. Save it and join us tomorrow night and drink some caffeine and eat your Wheaties, because if you're living on the East Coast, you're going to have to stay awake a little bit past midnight to watch this thing with us. So I hope you guys can hang. Maybe go to bed a little bit early tonight so you got the energy to do it, Hopefully you guys can join us tomorrow night. It should be a blast. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. And hopefully you guys do great things. And I will catch you tomorrow. Thank you so much. And